it's hard to imagine when I first started practicing law many years ago that we'd be talking about banks failing. Banks just don't fail. They're big buildings, lots of money. How could they fail? Well, that's because we're several generations removed from the Great Depression. We just don't have that experience with banks failing. Well, that is until this year, of course, when we have experienced First Republic Bank, Signature Bank, failing, crumbling, people losing lots of money. Really, in 2023, people losing money, and then now it's become a real concern for you, real concern for me, concern for my clients. That's why they're asking me, Kevin, what can we do to protect our money better? Is the FDIC really going to protect my money? Do I need to move my money around, open other accounts? What do I do? Well, let's take a look at the FDIC, and that's what this video is all about, is how can we expand out the coverage of the FDIC, and how do we use estate planning, namely trusts, in order to help us expand the coverage of the FDIC? Well, here's what the FDIC is, right? It was started in the 1930s after banks failed as a way to insure your money in a bank, to make people comfortable in depositing money back into banks and not stuffing it under mattresses or doing whatever they were doing, not putting it in banks because they were afraid that the banks were going to lose it on a run on the bank. So the government created the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation that insures money in a bank. And here's how it works. Typically, it insures $250,000 of your money in a bank. Now, the common misconception, of course, is that, hey, that's $250,000 in every account. Not so. It's $250,000 per bank. So you can have a number of accounts. If the total in the number of accounts is $250,000 or less, then you're good. However, if it's more, then the overage is exposed to liability if there's a run on the bank. You're not going to get that money back from the FDIC. So what you need to do, here's one easy solution. Oh, well, if you have more than $250,000, for example, say you have $500,000. Well, you take $250,000 and you open up a bank account at a separate bank, not a separate bank branch. You go to another bank. So $250,000 at Chase, $250,000 at Wells Fargo. Boom, FDIC has you covered. Now, you might be a little more conservative and have a third bank in that scenario so that you can add money to each of these accounts and not being worried about being over. So you set up multiple bank accounts at separate bank institutions, and that's how you can maximize coverage on the FDIC. Well, I don't want all those banks, and now it gets confusing. I'm a customer at multiple different banks. Wouldn't it just be easier to have it under one roof? Yes, of course, but what can we do? Well, this is where the trusts come into play. Did you know that you can use a revocable living trust to expand out your FDIC coverage? Yes, you can, and here's how it works. Now, for every beneficiary of a revocable living trust, so you get the trustor, and then you get beneficiaries get up to $250,000 of coverage. So you can have a trustor and up to five trustor and 4 beneficiaries, so 5 together gets you up to $1.25 million worth of coverage. And so if your trust has all those individuals, then you can expand out the coverage of the FDIC. Now, you can go beyond that. Let's say there are 6 beneficiaries, trustor plus 5 beneficiaries, 7, 8. Now, there's a whole different schematic that to figure out what the coverage would be outside of that, but you're still always going to get the $1.25 million full coverage, so $1,250,000 of full FDIC coverage. And then there's a lot of arithmetic after that. It's kind of on a lower scale. I'm not going to bore you with the math on that and what it comes out to be. Just know that you can use a revocable living trust to expand out your FDIC coverage up to $1,250,000. So that means you can have multiple accounts at one bank as long as it's total underneath $1,250,000 or less, then FDIC will cover it. And you can take that, of course, to separate banks. So you have $1.25 million covered at one bank, $1.25 million covered at a different bank, and so now you have more protection to work with. So there you have it. Revocable living trust. Here's an unknown benefit for many that people weren't thinking about, but certainly are thinking about it now. And what we're sharing with clients is use your revocable living trust to expand out your FDIC coverage. And it only works if the account is in the name of the trust. So put your trust, fund your account into a trust, multiple benefits. Now your money is safe from probate, and it's safe from a run on the bank. and just yet another reason to set up your revocable living trust. My name is Kevin Snyder. I'm an estate planning elder law attorney in Irvine at Snyder Law. I help families protect themselves today and into the future. And if you have more questions about FDIC, setting up trusts, or what the value of a trust is, anything to do with estate planning, check out some of our other YouTube videos or reach out. We're always happy to help.